to excuse Deputy Mayor?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Declarations of conflict of interest. Anyone? Okay. Approval of agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions?
Your Worship, I'd like to addition for change of hours for Communities in Bloom.
Okay, so we are going to put 10A, Committee of the Whole.
Just to be clear, he was asking to read the whole, not Communities in Bloom.
Yeah. Yeah, you said Communities in Bloom, but you meant Committee of the Whole. Yeah. I'm going to say you can handle that one.
I didn't want to say, well, that's at the call of the chair, what you just doing.
Yeah.
I meant committee of the whole.
So is the committee of the whole meeting, is that what you mentioned?
Yes.
I meant to mention.
Change of hours.
Okay, I'm going to put the 100 meals on there. We got a lot to do after. Anything else, anyone?
One other thing, it may already be on, but a request for a presentation for our next Committee of the Whole meeting.
Is that the high school one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's on there.
Okay, good.
Okay, anything else, anyone? Trish McCourt took another job. Do we need to, can we remove that, or do we take it until, we'll get there. Okay.
I move the adoption of the amendments.
Okay, thank you.
Question on that. Sometimes during the course of the meeting, think of an operator that reminds you something else that you should have put on the agenda.
Yes.
I'm wondering, you know, we should understand that, you know, that council commission has that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Add something
Yeah.
easy, so they haven't added that at the beginning. I mean, like, when we make this story, now do we foreclose adding anything else or not?
Well, I'll tell you, we used to, because of how things blindsided us at the table. But this council has, there's none of that with this council, so.
We haven't had a problem.
No, we certainly haven't. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, neither do I. Yeah. Yeah, we have done that. Yep, good. Okay. So with the additions, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. There's no presentations today. Okay, staff reports. CAO.
Your Worship, my report is attached, and it consists of an update of the motions of council and the progress that's been made, and I would welcome any questions that council may have concerning this report or any other matters that you want to direct at me.
Anything for the CAO today, folks? Dawn, I can't have all the doors closed. Huh? Oh, yes, I can. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Never mind. That's be.
Tell them to keep quiet up there.
No, no, no. We can't.
I
We
can't
couldn't
help it.
before the windows or something.
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay.
What's the status of the South School discussions with
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
your report systems?
Yeah. Well, we've received an answer, not officially, not in writing, but we did undertake an exercise there last summer, right? And we had a number of groups there. We were hoping that they would be a key tenant and we would receive a proposal from one of any of the groups. We received no proposals, and I think we've been told verbally that they're not interested in relocating there, the food bank. So, yeah.
Well, all right, so that's kind of an important thing.
Yep.
Should we discuss the next moves at some point?
So,
Does it need to be added on today or?
You're good.
yeah. So what I would offer is we have a housing project that we're hoping will succeed at the high school. And if we're successful with that, that might be a model to consider at South Centennial if there's not a a will or an interest to go ahead and do something like a social enterprise center, which I thought was what we were trying to get at earlier this summer, and I still think will be valuable in the community.
Can you put your light on so, put your light on so I can,
So the good part of that is we have gone through the process that we probably envisioned when we kept the school open. And I would say that having gone through the discussion with the community the way we did, that forecloses that kind of activity we have and gives us an option to proceed on other options, including demolition.
So I would say we've done some work to try to tease out the possibilities there. I don't like the word foreclose, but if council wishes at some point to take a direction, I think you can legitimately say that we've reached out and we've made the opportunity available.
I'll reframe my comment to say, so that brings us to the point where we are closer to being forced to make a decision to foreclose those options. Is that better? Thank you.
good, thank you. Anything else for the CAO? Okay, fire department. Anything there you had to?
I would just like to advise council that we're in the process of, still in the process of filling the fire chief position, that we have interviews scheduled, and you know, if we're lucky, we'll have some good news for council in the near future.
Good. Okay, operational, Chad. Yep. So anything for Chad, you can find him. Planning. Reports there. Any questions on that? Go ahead, CAO. Oh,
So,
yeah.
Your Worship, just to advise you that our current contract planner is planning to wind up his business at the end of this year. He will have worked as a professional planner in Nova Scotia for 60 years, and we will miss his service. We started a process several months ago to try to locate a planner on a contract basis, and we have interviews scheduled for that next week, and we're hopeful that given the pool of candidates that we'll have some good news for you in the near future around how we're going to fill the gap that we have.
Good stuff. Anything else on planning? Asset management and infrastructure renewal. Go ahead.
So I read one of those magazines we get from the FCM the other day, and there was an article in there, I think by George Cuff, but I'm not sure if it was him or somebody else, writing about the relationship between councils and CFO or CAOs. And I was very interested in one part of it, which talked about the hiring. CEOs are our only employees, our only employee. But I was interested because the article said, I'll try to repeat it exactly, I won't get it exact, that in the hiring of senior positions in the municipality, both the CEO and council representatives are involved. And maybe a CAO needs some help on some of these hirings from the council side of the equation. I did read that. Look, I meant to bring it in here
Yes,
this morning.
municipal.
Forgot it.
Municipal.
I just make that comment because I did read it. We're supposed to read some of that stuff. I don't read much of it, but I thought that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on the planning? Asset management? Finance department? Jerry, what have you got for us? Tell us it's some money.
Yeah, just a quick update. Auditors are completed their work. We have statements, I think, that are going to be brought to the audit committee and council, or next committee of the whole. Doing the reporting for the province, just to give you a heads up, that it is typically due the end of September, but we can't report until we have our audited statements. So I've been in contact with Municipal Affairs, and they are aware of the holdup, and it had to do with some of the airport stuff. So all three of us and our two partners are all going to be late this year reporting our statements because of that. We all have the same issue. So the auditors, Grant Thornton, do all three municipal units. So as soon as those are approved, we'll be ready to, I'll have the information for the province based on our draft statements, which will be the same as our finals.
We did the airport yesterday.
Yeah, so now the auditors are ready to basically confirm and do the final for the town and the municipality and the municipality of Argyle.
Okay.
I'm just
so-
giving you a heads up because Jeff and the mayor may get an email from Municipal Affairs saying we're going to be late reporting or late reporting. As far as our current year goes, just did a quick review on revenues and side. We're a little short on the revenues compared to budget, but that's a timing thing and some of the grants that we expect. So other than that, expenses are kind of trending pretty, from a high level, very close to budget. So.
Roughly how much is a little short?
We are right now 450,000, but it's grant. So I think if I look, we'll probably see the grant money come in October. That didn't come in September.
Does everybody,
No, but it's not, we're not really short.
It's a
because
timing
the
thing.
grant money hasn't come in.
Just compared
on
to
paper,
just
it looks
compared to when
short.
we budgeted.
Yeah,
Strictly a budget timing thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Any more questions for Jerry? When do we start budget, by the way? I heard some units are already doing that. I can't, I'm like, what? Okay.
So typically, we begin the budget process in the new year. In January, we begin talking about capital budgets. There's a possibility we can advance that discussion, maybe to start before the holidays. You know, to give you a kind of a picture of sort of what's been executed, what's still pending, and what other projects we have either been referred to budget by council or are on the engineering radar, and start thinking around sort of where we'll be with the capital budget. You know, that if you wish to start before the holidays, we can. I know Halifax, I don't think they ever stop the
No,
budget
they don't.
process. It's
They don't.
but typically we start in January, do the capital budget, do the grants to organizations, and then deal with the operating budget. Usually have it all squared away in May. We always shoot for April. We always get it done usually in May.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, anything else for Jerry? We good? Recreation report is attached. If anybody has questions, we can find Frank, unless you have questions for Jeff on that, but it's attached. Boat club, oh, okay. Oh, you have a recreation thing. Councillor Dawn, is there a recreation conference or something coming up? It is right now, isn't it? Yeah, yes, okay, that's where the deputy mayor is. Yeah, right on. Okay. Economic development, Natalie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm happy to answer any questions from my report.
Go ahead. Pick me.
Actually, what I'm looking for, and we spoke about this earlier, but I'd love to hear an update on Merry Madness and how it ties into our new non-parade, the Candy Cane Festival, which is going on.
Sure. So Merry Madness, we're in the midst of the planning activity with the DTY working team, as well as some local businesses who are also participating with the planning. So it is scheduled on the same evening as the town's light up night. So that's Friday, November the 22nd. It starts at 5 p.m. registration to 9 p.m. and the event takes place within the downtown. So basically, local businesses register to participate. The person that's participating will go to the different businesses. It sort of acts as a little passport. They get a stamp, and each of the businesses are doing special discounts and sales. So that's coming along well. Tickets will go on sale November the 1st. I've been speaking with Barb Firth from the Candy Cane Committee. So we're just going to do some cross promotion of activities to get people aware of that. And we're working with the Lobster Bay to do some promotions within their publication, and then we'll work with CJLS as well. So things are coming along. I think it's going to be a fantastic Shop Local event that weekend.
Excellent, thank you.
Good. The Candy Cane, I've gotten a lot of notes from mayors in other, not just Nova Scotia, but outside of the province that are going to mimic this. I think it's the right way to go. It's going to be great. Anything else for Natalie? Good. Thank you. Okay, business, tender, bulk salt, 2019-20.
Your Worship, we have a memo here from the Manager of Public Works regarding a tender for trucking of highway bulk salt for the 1920 winter season. So it was advertised on the provincial procurement site for this service. Closing date was October 9th, 2019. 2 responses were received, and the results are summarized in the memo from the manager. And after reviewing the tenders, it is recommended the contract be awarded to the lowest tender, Elmsdale Landscaping Limited, in an amount of $39.05 per ton plus HST, for a total estimated contract price of $58,575 plus HST. Keeping in mind that the quantities are estimated based on usual needs for a winter season that can go up or down depending on the nature of the winter. Also want to point out that in the memo, the manager is suggesting we go with the option to have deliveries only between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.
So if we award a contract of 57,825, what happens if it's exceeded in terms of the quantity that's required?
So Your Worship, the tender is for the tonnage rate, and we're estimating the quantity. So if our winter is particularly bad in terms of the need for salt, we'll exceed the 57,000 extrapolated total, but we'll still pay the $39.05 per ton based on whether we use 1,500 or 1,700 tons.
So the interoffice memorandum that we have, if approved as it's written, really caps it at 57,825.
Well, it's an estimated contract price.
Doesn't say that. It says total contract price, lowest
No.
price.
Well-
As a counselor, I'm asked to approve that.
Mine says total estimated contract price.
Well, you get a contradiction.
No, under,
No, I see that. But what I see is the highlighted thing. That's what I read. And under the highlighted thing, it says total contract price, lowest price, 57,825. I'm not maybe inclined to read this fine print as a counselor.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm trying to get at
I
here?
understand what you're
Because
saying.
really, that's all I read when I saw this online. Now, this morning, idiot savant that I am, I still didn't see the estimated price part. So my attention, and I think many other councillors' attentions, would be directed to the highlighted item. And then when it was estimated and we might go over, I raised the question.
Gotcha.
You can tell I'm in a good mood today.
I can tell you're in a good mood. So here's my answer to that. But this is just my answer. Make sure you read the whole thing, because it's right there in the paragraph.
So my question is, did you?
Yes, I got it circled.
I see.
Yeah,
Well, you're smarter than I am.
I wouldn't even touch that with a 10-foot pole. I don't even come close. So the real question is, are we okaying this because it's an estimated contract price and the price could be higher?
No,
Right.
yeah, I'm okay with it.
Your worship, what you're being asked to approve is actually the per ton rate, right?
Yes.
That's right. It really could be
Yeah.
more clear.
Yes.
I think.
No doubt. I think the reason that it's extrapolated is so the council understands what the magnitude of the expenditure might be. But you're right, what we're actually tendering for is the per ton rate. And what the manager is recommending is that you accept $39.05, pay a 50-cent per ton premium so that the deliveries come between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.
So see the, you know, I read the highlighted things is total contract price, lowest price, 57. And oftentimes that's what I look at when I do these
Oh,
contracts.
absolutely.
And so what we should be, another time, could be a little clearer, more clear to say that we're approving it on the basis of the amount estimated at 57,825.
Good. Are you good with this today, though? Yep. Okay. Then why don't you make the motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion, Your Worship, that the contract be awarded on understanding that the contract price is an estimated total price at a per tonnage rate of
39.05.
39.05. Yep. Good. Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, so we have the tender utilities supervisor vehicle.
I don't have that one.
Have that one.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Works Manager has invited tenders for a 3-year lease on one full-size extended cab pickup truck for the Utilities Supervisor in the Operational Services Department. 3 responses were received, and the results are summarized in the table. After reviewing the tenders, it is recommended that we lease the truck from the lowest tenderer, Tusket Ford, in the amount of $585.26 per month plus HST. That is for your information and approval.
Okay. Okay. Seconded. Okay, go ahead, Cliff.
So, sounds like they're selling us cars the same way they do the public. They're sucking us in with a lease price by the month. We're not buying by the week. So why do we lease as opposed to buy?
You're on, Jeff.
And what's the mileage that it would be anticipated? How long, do we get to own the vehicle at the end of the lease? Is that one of those deals? Or
It's an option. It's an option, and sometimes, depending on the mileage and the condition of the vehicle, we might take that option.
There would be a buyout price on.
There's a buyout price that's pre-established, and so the vehicle, for the most part, is driven within town. Has a lot of low-speed kilometers on it, but compared to a personal vehicle, probably not more than you'd put on your personal vehicle. But they're all low-speed, local miles for the most part. So we look at each vehicle independently when we lease, and consider the option that we have to buy back at the end. Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't, depending on the situation.
All right, thank you. That's good.
Good. So Wade made the motion. Did somebody second it? Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. High school presentation requests. Councillor Cleveland.
Had a great conversation with a gentleman, Alan Whitaker, who's the head of a new program and a brand-new curriculum that's happening at the high school. Maybe Don could speak more to this than I could, but it sounds very exciting. And his grade 9 group, I'm pretty sure they're grade 9s, would like to make a presentation. Basically what they're doing is technological innovations, that kind of thing. And the actual presentation is going to be about that, and a question for us as to whether or not we have anything that we would like them to work on. And it seemed very interesting and worthwhile, and they would like to make a presentation at our next Committee of the Whole meeting.
Okay. Moved and, that's your motion? You seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Bike rally. Okay, so there's nothing in here. So I met with a gentleman that's attached, or was attached, to the bike rally in Digby. He did, I was at the Digby Pines last week speaking, and he came in and gave me a little bit of a presentation on doing something here. And it included everything. He's well versed in bike rallies and has done them before. So his request was to basically show council that same presentation so we can make a decision going forward. And it's not even a long presentation, okay?
Is that you making a motion?
I can't make a motion from the chair,
All right, well, I'll make a motion that we hear his presentation.
okay? Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Correspondence for action, Nova Scotia Transportation Infrastructure Renewal off-highway vehicles. So basically, off-highway can drive vehicles on K-class roads. They are doing their pilot projects. We want it to be part of that, but before we can do that, they want to work their way through the pilot. I didn't see any date as to when pilot is finished. It says 2019 to 2021, so we're missing a lot of money in this community because we're not hooked up. So anyway, I do have a number at the bottom here that I can reach out and have further conversations with transportation on this piece. And as well, they are in town in November. We'll meet at the Rod. So any questions for them at that time, maybe we can bring that piece up at that time as well. So what else do we need to do with this? Like, it's still not telling us yes, but that's not a K-class road, right? Were you gonna say something, Counselor? Or Jeff, either one of you? Go ahead.
Can we do a letter?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
That's a response to a letter from probably 2 or 3 months ago. The last letter that was approved at the council meeting 2 weeks ago, this would not be a response to that. That has not gone yet. I've asked Frank Grant to provide a letter. Remember, we talked about having recreation support, so I'm looking for that letter to include with our letter.
And it's, yeah. I need to call, I need to call them as well, like
So the key piece is, that letter is approved for the local, and I understand there are two groups.
can you put your light on there? Sorry, Jim, just,
There is, the initiative mostly from the local group is the local Trails Association, Lloyd Wallace and that group. But there is some other maybe overriding group, a Nova Scotia Trails Association, something like that. But I'd be encouraged if we could get out to the Trails Association the substance of the motion that we passed at the previous meeting.
absolutely,
We could do that.
yeah,
Okay, thanks.
yeah, that's important.
And hopefully you can follow up, Your Worship, on this, because further to chat further on this anymore, Royden.
Yeah. So I'd like to see our letter that's going to go.
In the motion,
This
because that motion was
motion.
well worded.
It was, and then and I'll make that phone call as well,
Okay,
before I send the letter. Okay, we good on this? Do I need anything? Go ahead.
No, I'm good, yes.
You good? Go ahead, CAO.
Well, the only part, and you made the point, Your Worship, is the pilot project isn't going to be done until 2021, which I assume probably means the end of the summer season 2021, which is a year and a half out. And then the results, after they evaluate the pilot project, the results might help inform something they might do here. As we've talked about before, Your Worship, there are examples not far from Nova Scotia where this is working very well without incident, and the fact that we have to do this pilot project for years in Nova Scotia when all you have to do is look across the provincial boundary and see success. It's like we have to do, if we don't do our own research on our own land, then the research isn't valid or the examples aren't valid. I think we should push them a little bit on the fact that sometimes when you do a clinical trial, you end the trial early because success is obvious and you move forward. And I think that there's enough evidence outside of our Nova Scotia jurisdiction that this sort of initiative can work under proper conditions, that they should just get on with creating policy that allows others, the willing, to move forward.
Yeah, completely agree. So we need to push this even further. Okay, Councillor McLeod and then Don.
I don't see, I understand the letter. To me, it was a little bit confusing and had to read it a couple times, and like Jeff is commenting to us, the pilot project won't end until 2021, maybe. And so why can't we begin to organize the use of Water Street so we can join the trails? And I think around the table there's general agreement. It's a way of, we just have to find a way to get started so we can do it appropriately, including safely. So I'm keenly interested in joining the two, because on an irregular basis, I think you can see ATV vehicles on the street going between the the treatment plant and up by the oil place. So let's begin to do it. And summertime, we can plan it for next summer or whenever the right date is to open it. So I want very much us to consider that. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Barry.
I think the mayor, by making the phone call, will do the stage one, tell them that our council is in agreement that we start as quickly as we can without waiting on that, and that we'll make a motion, or if we need to make a motion, that we would like to start next week. But I'm just start the ball rolling by the phone call. The next, and it's not on this topic, but I've been sitting here as long as I've came in. Jim is sitting on this side as long as we came in, and we've heard half the conversation. And I don't know if my ears have been real souped up today, but I heard every bit of the conversation that was happening in the hallway here, and it had frustrated me not to hear the conversation around the table.
Yeah.
So somehow we need to, when we're having these kind of meetings, either, I don't know who's in charge, I can be a bouncer if you want, but to go out there and tell them to move along or keep it down.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I missed your conversations, and I was even doing this to block out the conversation, and Jim said the same thing. He couldn't hear.
Yeah,
And that's not fair to this side of the table.
yeah. And so, just so you know, we weren't, when I said about closing the doors, remember when they didn't have the glass and we said you have to have a door open? But I think we added the glass so people could, that's why I said that. But I hear what you're saying, because we can all hear it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, we can all hear it.
Okay. But I thought I was on.
No. Go ahead.
So, just for clarity, after the doors were closed, you still couldn't hear? Or?
I didn't close it completely because I thought.
Yeah. So,
Me too. too.
But even after the crack, it was like,
Yeah, okay.
and it looks like I'm being rude, but I can't hear the conversation.
Yeah.
My ears are real sharp today,
Yeah.
but something's,
Okay.
definitely couldn't hear.
So to her worship's comment, those doors used to be solid like the door to her office. And so we used to have a habit of keeping them open so that, you know, we're having a public meeting, it's an open meeting. When we did the renovations to the town council chambers, we said, you know, because of the noise issue with the lobby during daytime meetings, we thought if we put glass panels in those doors that people could still see a meeting is going on. There's a sign outside that says open meeting, come on in, that we could close the doors and still have visibility and a welcoming sign and address the audio issue. So there's no reason you need to keep the doors open, particularly if it affects the effectiveness of the meeting. And the other thing I could do is talk into my microphone.
I needed something.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that, Don.
I haven't heard like I would like to hear.
So-
And when you actually spoke into the mic just now more aggressively than normal, and I understand that we all feel better if we can just talking casually and informally, that it's easier not to raise your voice. But certainly, if you put the appropriate welcoming, you have open meeting and leave the door closed, I would be supportive of that, you know.
And to be fair, Cliff didn't have his microphone on the first couple conversations, right? So you wouldn't hear that
Yeah,
unless you're sitting right next to him.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I understand that too.
Yeah. So just wave. If you can't hear, wave and do this. And because a lot of folks will say, even through, I mean, I'll just say it, through
Yeah.
Eastlink, like people will text me and say, I can't hear your CAO, right? So.
So
it's
just
so
to
soft-spoken,
just to
but you
follow
carry a
up,
big stick.
just to follow up and make sure about the previous conversation about the use of allowing ATVs on Water Street between the two trail entry exits. Love to see that start tomorrow.
Right now, it's illegal.
Love to see it start
Right.
the day after tomorrow then.
Because it's the Department of Transportation, it's legislation, right? But-
So as Don mentioned about investigating the US, was it, or wherever you guys talked
Well,
about?
he was in Corner Brook. And it-
Whatever, but let's do that let's start the process here in the town of Yarmouth so that we can,
Huh? Yeah, we'll send that picture. Okay, so we good on this? Do you need anything else on this? We're good?
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead there.
So I've listened to what everyone's had to say here, and I think we could devise a policy, and the way to do it would be to engage the chief of police,
Who's with it? He's with us.
the trail people, and our staff to help us develop a policy for that connector. And maybe we could just go ahead and do this thing
Okay.
as a policy initiative.
But does our policy does not trump provincial legislation,
Well,
right?
we might,
But what, okay, I'm so in. You
Who
want to
knows?
make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second, Counselor Barry. More discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. With a side note of Cliff is on the job. Turn that, you gonna say something else? You can turn your light out. Thank you. Okay. TIR, okay, so Trish is no longer with ISAN, so we're gonna leave that one. Are we okay to leave that one, folks? Yes. All right. Ambassador of Armenia, re-sister city. So when the Republic of Armenia was here, the ambassador, we spoke about the sister city piece. And they have responded that they are interested in signing a sister city agreement. Now, I don't know what we need to do with this, but I have spoken to Natalie, and we were just gonna see what the next steps were. So does anybody have anything further? No, that's done. She's moved. but she's not with them anymore. Yeah. She's the head of the Women's Center now. Yeah, okay. So what the CAO is suggesting, and he's right, I had the conversation, obviously, but a motion on the books to say that we can move forward with this sister city piece and see what it looks like would be in order.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Okay? Second, Councillor Barry, okay? Any further discussion on that? Go ahead there, Jim.
I'd like to go over there sometime and be part of the signing ceremony. I had trouble getting beyond Port Maitland, but I would make an exception in this case, and I'd go all the way to...
Maybe they'll come to Port Maitland for you.
That's right. That's right. Okay, good. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. The neighborhood traffic pattern. So we received a letter with regard to the traffic pattern up by Central School. And my suggestion, but I'm here to listen to council, would be, actually it was a CAO suggestion, that we refer this to the traffic authority first to see where we get with it. I mean, the school's no longer there. Yeah. Okay, so moved by Councillor McLeod. Second by Councillor Hood. Go ahead there, Jim.
I wanted to include not just the Centertown, Old Centertown Schools South, but I want to go up to and including the new school, just to look at that whole area.
Sure.
And the crosswalk there.
And
I believe that may be brought up before.
And I saw the way I got to ask you after the meeting where exactly that crosswalk is. But anyway, where you want it, and I think I know where you want it, but I want to talk to you about that later.
Go ahead, Councillor Wood.
I think you got two issues here, and I don't want to get it cluttered up too much. Collins Street was always open until, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Why don't we deal with there's two issues here. I don't think we should lump the Collins Street issue that Mr. Ruff raises in with maybe a bigger issue over there at the new school. Because I don't think that opening up Collins Street in any way compromises that issue over there.
Yeah, so we can do two separate motions.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah. So the first motion that was on the floor was to look at Collins Street and that general pattern, right? But it also goes on to, Cliff.
Well, Grand and
The
School Street and all that.
Yeah.
Grand and School and Brunswick is what you're talking about. This is a separate issue.
We're talking about Collins Street and the street that goes, Seminary, right? Because that's a one-way. Doesn't need to be a one-way.
I don't know, Seminary, traffic, Collins and Seminary.
Yeah. So do we want a motion to look after that? Are we good with that motion? Does somebody second that? Second. Okay. Okay. Go ahead there, Councillor Barry.
I think we were going to investigate whether that bottom of Brunswick up to a certain area is considered what we call a school zone, because a school zone says that you're only allowed to travel at 30 kilometers through a school zone. I think the school is connected close enough to Brunswick Street that usually it's on a straight line like this, but now it's going from here and going up Brunswick Street. We're going to investigate, so that's a third one, whether Brunswick Street is a school zone, meaning that travelers that are traveling through that area can only go 30. And we were wondering if the posting was there and how far up that road it needs to be. I think that still needs to be investigated.
Okay. So this is what I'm thinking we should do. We need a motion to look at the traffic patterns on Collins and Seminary, which now they're one way and they never were. Okay, so that's been moved by Jim, second by Wade. Any discussion on that one? Oh, go ahead, CAO.
Yeah, it's already underway.
It's what?
It's underway.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know if, was Chad's report attached? Yeah, so in the traffic authority, sorry, in Chad's Public Works report, there are a few, actually there are 5 items that he's addressed here that he's looking into, and maybe if I just take a minute and go through these.
Actually, I don't have a copy of that, not online.
Okay, I didn't see
Is
it there
it
either, but I just
operational?
refreshed and it's there. Okay, so
yep, you're on.
So installation at crosswalk on South Main Street near the golf course. That was a requested item. That's under review, and he puts it at 40%. It says, however, due to the grade of the street and the speed of the traffic in the area, installing a crosswalk may not provide an additional level of safety. In the past, similar requests made to the former traffic authority, and a decision was made to only install warning signs. So he's 40% through his work on that, but he hasn't reached a conclusion. On the Brunswick and Grand Street, it's under review. He's 75% completed. And he says one option is to install a crosswalk on Brunswick Street on the north side of the Grand intersection using a ground-mounted system, signs and pavement markings. To improve visibility, the tree on the southeast corner of the intersection should be removed and a bump out installed on the northeast corner of the intersection. Additionally, parking/stopping restrictions would have to be implemented along Brunswick Street. For the greatest level of safety, an RA5 special crosswalk could be considered. This would include pedestrian-actuated overhead flashing beacons, illuminated signs, and down lighting. A cost estimate is being determined for the installation. Type of installation is suspected to be somewhere in the range of $20,000 to $30,000. Again, 75% through the review there. Third item, installation of a crosswalk at Collins Street at First Street. Collins Street at First Street. Okay, that's 30% complete his work there. However, this may not be warranted due to the proximity of a crosswalk at Collins and Main. Not sure where the request came from on that one.
I don't know what Collins and Maine has anything to do with,
The-
that can't be the right one. Collins and Maine,
No, Collins and First.
yes, I see that. It may not be warranted due to the proximity of the crosswalk at Collins and Maine. What's that got to do with anything?
It's about,
Oh, I see
50
there.
meters away?
Yeah, right, never mind.
Okay.
Sorry, I was thinking school. I was thinking
yeah,
that
so
little
these are,
school street.
these are just different,
Yeah.
different items he's been
Gotcha.
asked, all right? So installation of three-way stop at Cliff and Park Street. So that's something that's been requested, under review, 50%. He says, however, traffic volumes may not warrant a three-way stop. It's a single request from a local resident, so it's a single request. I'm not sure. And the final one, which is one we just spoke about, is revert Seminary Street and Collins Street, East End, back to two-way traffic due to closure of Centertown School. It's under review, 25% complete. He's cautioning, however, a decision should be deferred until the use of the former school property is determined. So his thinking around that is if you put it back to two-way and then a use goes in there that generates a significant amount of traffic, you may get another request to put it back to one-way. So he's suggesting you figure out what is going to happen at Centertown School before you necessarily go ahead and change the traffic pattern. So, but again, 25% review. So those are the 5 items. And I'm just bringing that to your attention so that if you're thinking about motions to get him to do the work, some of the work is already
Yeah,
underway.
okay. All right, so he's already looking at Collins. And then I have a quick question on, maybe this question should come later, but this number 2, Brunswick and Grand, I mean, I just think that's nuts. But, does the province pay for that? Do we ask the province for money? They put in a school and then we have to put in all the lights and everything? Seriously?
You have a school back there, and throw the 3 of them all at one time, and all proximity things. You will not, I think it's
Go ahead, CAO.
So, Your Worship, I think that we could always ask. We've had reasonably good fortune in dealing with the Department of Public, TIR, Transportation Infrastructure Renewal, who developed the schools for the province. We've had reasonable good fortune in the past when we've talked about impacts of new schools such as the high school. They extended, if you remember, they extended the sidewalk down to Clements Avenue from the high school. And I believe they participated on the extension from Clements Avenue to Pleasant Street. So I think it doesn't hurt to ask. It might be also worthwhile in investigating this to look at whether or not there was a traffic impact study done when they decided to put the elementary school there. If that study flagged any potential issue on Brunswick Street, I think that would be beneficial to us in terms of asking the province to address the issue if it was flagged by their study prior to the construction of the school.
Okay. All right. So what do you need from us? Is everybody okay with what's being done until we figure out where that is? Okay. Yep, sure.
So just for clarification on process, the traffic authority has the right, has the authority to determine whether or not a crosswalk is advisable and under what conditions. So he might say, yes, you can put a crosswalk there, but as a traffic authority, I would only approve it if these things were in place. The traffic authority does not have the ability to set the Town of Yarmouth budget. So if he were to say, for instance, you can put a crosswalk at either at the golf course or at the elementary school, but it requires this type of infrastructure, then the question comes back to council, is that the traffic authority would agree to a crosswalk, but you would have to allocate the budget to cause it to happen or have somebody else pay for it. So he won't install a crosswalk unless he has the budget to put in place the proper safety measures.
Good? Okay. All right, so we are at additions. Committee of the whole change of hours. So go ahead there, Councillor, if you want to.
My fault. I've been stringing you guys all over the place here over the last 3 or 4 years as things change. First off, I'm very excited to announce that I'm going to be program director of the radio station. I've just received that job notice, and so my hours will be changing. I'll be on the air live from 10 o'clock in the morning through until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, something like that. So I was hoping, with your indulgence, it may be easier for you guys anyway, that we could change these committee of the whole meetings from the mornings into later in the afternoon. 3 o'clock even would be fine, which is probably more convenient for our 2 Councillor Barrys because they're both busy with school anyway. But if you guys were acceptable to that, that would be most convenient for me if it's okay.
Okay. So let me ask this to the Barrys. What time is good? Like when can you get to a meeting in the afternoon? 3:30 is 3:30? Okay.
If you set it for 3, I can try.
Well, no, we need you.
I can't commit to, my day ends at 3:20.
Okay, so 3:30 good?
So,
Okay. So, yeah.
and I think before it was at 3:30.
Yeah.
It was.
Jim?
It was at 3:30.
You good?
Because of your job.
I could be 7 o'clock Sunday morning.
Yeah, well, that's not happening. It's not, 7 o'clock is not morning, it's middle of the night. Okay? You can lean into your microphone all you want, but it's not on, so it's just saying, right? No wonder you two can't hear. Okay, Cliff?
He said on Saturday, 3:30 on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Once a month? And all I'm thinking is, what's PBSC, like?
I'm self-employed, I'm whatever.
Okay, so you're good with it?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I am too, because we need, sometimes, we don't rush, but we got some hard things to get through over the next year, so. Yes, Counselor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Wade's initiative, but you need a motion to change the date of the
Please.
meeting, the time of the meeting on Wednesday, still the fourth Wednesday of each month, beginning at 3:30. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, I wrote the 100 meals on here, so here's the deal on the 100 meals, and we are going to, Wade's gonna help us do some work, Mike's on it, we're gonna do a Vanguard article, CGLS, all those pieces. We have, we had zero money, but somebody gave us $1,000. So, so I'm just wondering, maybe I just need to see, I'm thinking out loud, maybe I need to see what we come up with and then come back to council if we need a couple $1,000. What do you think? Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave that then, okay? And date for, we had talked about kind of workshopping our way through the major issues and getting a picture of where we were, where we are, and we need to, so we need to find a date that we can come and spend a few hours together and just hash through all the big ticket items. So is that on your radar? Yeah. Sorry.
A moderated discussion or just
No,
just amongst us?
It's just us.
You're just
Yeah.
looking for a time, a date and a
I am.
time?
I'm looking for a date and a time that we can all sit down, and it might have to be an evening. It might, I don't like to do Saturdays, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could do like
What's-
a
how many-
3:30 in the afternoon, bring in dinner and keep going. So what days are good? Any day good for anybody? Not good for anybody?
Like a committee of the whole meeting or separate from that?
Separate. It's like a workshop, sort of.
I guess I'd like to, I know that Don and Steve aren't available until 3:30 or so, but is there a day in your school schedule that you could start at between 12 and 1? Is there like a workshop day that you guys might be available? Just throwing that out. I'm okay with any time, but I might, because you want to be alive and alert throughout the couple or 3 hours of discussion. But I'm okay with whatever. I'm just offering that as a personal moment.
And maybe making it easier is 3:30 and then going through dinner, right? What do you? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. You send out an email with 3 different dates. I'll help you figure out some of those dates. And I just need everybody to get back to Lindsay, please, because when we don't respond, nothing happens. So we'll get back to Lindsay with whatever one works, or if 3 work, that's good. If 1 only works, that's fine too, and we'll get that done. Is that fair?
So right now the time is 3:30.
I would say that's the majority of the, yeah. Yep. Okay. Good enough. Okay, so we're good. So a motion to go in camera, correct? Okay. Thanks, folks. NSFM, that would